welcome to this week's Las Vegas Advisor Weekly Update with Anthony and Andrew. Today is Wednesday, 4/20/2022, and this first bit of information is a countrywide thing. This isn't just Vegas. This goes far beyond Vegas.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about the end of masks.
Yeah.
Right? And really, there's not that much to say. It's not like we're breaking news here. Everybody knows probably by now that you no longer have to wear a mask on public transportation, including airlines. And that's a big deal for Vegas, because so many people fly in here. Mm-hmm. So this, this change in the rule, this alteration in the rule, has a bigger effect on people who are Vegas fans because they don't have to mask up to get on an airplane anymore.
Well, we know from our comments alone over the last 18 months, since we've been doing this, there's a lot of different comments that are directly associated with the mask policies.
Right. And I mean, it's a polarizing thing. It works both ways. There's a bunch of people who go, I'm not going out without a mask. And, they don't have to. They can still wear them, obviously. But there are a lot of people who said they didn't want to come back to Vegas as long as there were mask mandates or they had to wear them on planes. Some people, they just can't function with the mask on, and now they don't have to wear it. They can come back to town, I guess.
Yeah, and that's good for them. And then, like today I was in the gas station and I saw somebody wearing a mask inside the gas station, and part of me was like, okay, people are still doing it, but it's really now just to each his own. Yeah,
it's going to be that way. And so, it's just no more rules when it comes to that anymore. And I think there's still going to be some things with individual entertainers saying you've got to show proof of vax, and maybe they'll require masks. I don't know. But in general, we're done, at least for now.
All right, and this next one's really interesting. We got more development on the north side of the Strip.
On the way. It's coming. What happened was the SIEGEL group, who, if you've been to town, you may see these SIEGEL suites all over the place.
Yeah, everywhere.
Right. These are like extended stay places, and, definitely on the lower end in terms of cost and so forth. They deal with a lot of transients and things like that, but they've been around and they're all over town.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you want to stay somewhere for like a week, you can stay at the SIEGEL Suites. If you want to stay there for a few days, you can stay
and
there.
it's
or
not
a month.
Yeah, and it's not like staying in a hotel. I mean, it's not like staying in a casino. These are extended stay places. But what's interesting is they've been very successful, obviously, and this group has now purchased 12 acres of land on the north end of the Strip, right across from Resorts World. So they're in front of, think of where the pepper mill is. They're right there, and they have now 12 acres, and they're talking about developing it and bringing, putting something big there.
That's a really up-and-coming part of town because you have Resorts World right there. You have
Fontainebleau ready to go.
You got the Strat not too far away.
Right. You got Wynn and Encore. So things keep moving toward the north, it seems.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, a big mixed-use project, a casino, possibly condos, retail.
Wow.
And they haven't given any timetables or released plans, but this is a group that gets things done. And they wouldn't have bought that land if they weren't going to do something with it.
I read $75 million for the land purchase.
Yeah. So it's a serious thing. They've been very successful, and they've done a lot of interesting things in Vegas. So we'll see what comes of it.
Just a quick mention: the NFL draft is coming to Vegas next week. I think we'll talk more about it on the next episode.
Right, but it's worth talking about it now just for a second. It's going to be the 28th through the 30th next week. And the thing about this, it's going to have an effect on everybody, whether you want to get involved and go into that crowd. It's going to be a big crowd in front of Bellagio and out by the Link Promenade. But they're also going to shut down the Strip. They've already done it. And because they're building it out, it's going to be a really big deal. Wow. So anyone who's in town and you're going back and forth on the Strip, be aware that you might not be able to get across Flamingo Avenue because of what they're doing. And these road closures, either full or partial, are going to run all the way through May 6th.
All right, now here's something we're both super excited about. The Downtown Rocks free concerts are coming to Vegas.
Right. They'll be back again. I don't know how many years they've been doing it, but they've been doing it for a long time. These are free concerts during the summer. They have one almost every week. And there's always a reasonable lineup of pretty good names, and this year we've got some really good ones. Now they're starting it off this weekend, this Saturday, with a group called Parmalee. All right, now the last time I said something like this, I got all in trouble saying I never heard of St. Francis in basketball. Yeah. And I got to tell you, I listen to a lot of music, but I never heard of Parmalee. Have you ever heard of him?
No, I haven't. But you know what? I also haven't heard of BTS, and they were the biggest thing in Vegas for like the last 2 weeks.
Exactly. So anyway, it starts this Saturday with Parmalee, but listen to this lineup. I mean, this lineup is pretty amazing. We've got, and these are just the big names, you know, as far as I'm concerned. You've got Starship on April 29th. You've got Molly Hatchet on July 4th. Sebastian Bach, July 23rd. 3 bands, Hoobastank, Soul Asylum, and Alien Ant Farm, one of my favorites, on July 30th. Another 3-band set, Rick Springfield, Men at Work, and John Waite.
I'll be there for sure.
September 3rd.
Yeah.
Then Slaughter, Vixen, and Sweet on October 22nd, and closing out with Stone Temple Pilots on November 19th.
Yeah, that's strong.
I mean, this is a pretty big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
you got a lot going on here. You got your hair bands here, Slaughter, Vixen, and Sweet. I bet you don't even know who Sweet is.
I don't know Sweet, but I loved Vixen growing up. I thought they were like the hottest babes with guitars, and I mean, it was just unbelievable.
There you go.
So
Okay.
I'll be there.
Well, all right. So Sweet goes way back.
Yeah.
I think into the 70s. Barroom Blitz.
Oh, sure. I
All
know the
right.
song. Yeah.
That's Sweet.
Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah, exactly. So
Got
I mean,
it.
we've got what I think is a really tremendous lineup here.
Yeah.
And you know, you can go online and you can see who's playing on any particular Saturday, or check LasVegasAdvisor.com. We always post them.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna hit a few of these. You know, they play on one of the stages. Usually start at 9:00.
I will definitely go see Starship. And, you know, Sebastian Bach, I have to say, I was at the Distill Bar the other day, and Youth Gone Wild came on.
Okay.
And it was just great.
All right.
So I'll be there, too.
All right, good. We'll see a few of these. We'll report on them. But looking forward to it.
So the last couple of weeks, we've done shout-outs to a few different people, bartenders mostly. And now we would like to do a shout-out to a local chef.
Right. Everybody seems to like these bartender shout-outs.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do this one. A guy named Daniel Arias
Uh-huh.
is a chef at a place called PEYOTE. It's downtown in Fremont Street, East District. And I met Daniel when I went to try peyote. I went to get something to eat, and he works there with what he calls his cousin, but I think it's just his friend, a guy named Isidro.
Okay.
And these are 2 chefs with real backgrounds. I mean, worked at Robuchon, worked at Jose Andres.
Wow.
And they've gotten together and they opened their own restaurant, Peyote, and it's Mexican cuisine, but one is from the north and one is from the south. So they use the preparations are a melding of the 2 different kinds.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it is some of the best food that I have had in so long. And we mentioned Daniel because he's the guy I talked to, and he was just so passionate about the whole thing, about how they make their food and all. And he was so kind of grateful that I was so appreciative of it. And I'm telling you, it's just great. We had like a beets appetizer, and had a ceviche, had a skirt steak asada, had a chicken and black garlic sauce.
Sounds good.
Absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. The thing there's one dessert on the menu. And I'm telling you, if I ever see a menu with one dessert, are you ever going to pass that up?
I don't know. I guess not.
I'm not a dessert guy, but I had
Okay.
to try it. And this is the most ridiculous flan I have ever tasted.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know. You a flan fan?
It reminds me of Jack Black in the movie.
Well, I mean, I don't even like flan per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah.
You know, it's custard, right?
Yeah, sure.
But it's covered with like a caramel sauce, and it's on a bed of chocolate flakes.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
It's absolutely ridiculous. If you go to this place, you got to try it.
That sounds like the type of flan that I would eat.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, peyote itself, it's cool. They got outside dining. They've got a brunch on the weekends, and if you can get a seat at the back bar, because then you get to talk to the chefs and all that kind of thing. It's pretty cool, man.
Do you have to make a reservation, or do you think it's walk in?
I would make reservations because this thing's getting more and more
Popular,
famous.
yeah. Well, I tell people all the time that the downtown arts district, particularly by Ferguson's, this like area,
Right.
is really, you can find a lot of great restaurants, great artisan food, and this is top of the food chain down there.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned it. It's called the Ferguson's Complex, and it's an old hotel that used to be called the Ferguson, and they've turned it into. This is back when Tony Hsieh was doing stuff here,
Right.
and they've turned it into sort of like an artsy thing where they have concerts and restaurants and things, and you can't even book a room there anymore. But it's pretty neat to see the courtyard and what that place used to be. It's on East Fremont Street. Peyote's, man, it's worth a go.
All right, check it out. All right, so this week's Jackpot of the Week comes from a celebrity.
Celebrity gambler. It's Gene Scott.
Yep.
Who is the author of several of our books, as we'll talk about in a minute. And what did Gene have to say?
Gene's jackpot is, I hit this at Harris Cherokee in North Carolina. This came after many, many hours of holding 1 or 2 or even 3 deuces and never catching the 4th. I guess some people are wondering if I'm still around, much less playing. Well,
obviously she's playing.
Yes.
That's quite a hit that she got there. Well,
Sure.
you know, for those who don't know, Gene Scott is one of the authors that put our publishing company, Huntington Press, on the map. She wrote a book called The Frugal Gambler, and then followed it up with several books: More Frugal Gambling, Frugal Video Poker, Tax Help for Gamblers, Frugal Gambler Casino Guide.
Wow. Prolific.
Yeah, she was very prolific, but she's a real player too. I mean, so, you know, take a look at this jackpot. Notice what she's playing.
Yeah, $5 denom.
She's playing a $5 denom.
Yeah.
She told me that she does get out. She's moved. She's retired now. She lived in Vegas for years. She moved to North Carolina. So the closest to her is the Harrah's Cherokee.
Yep.
I guess she's about 4.5 hours away, and she gets there she says maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And it's the only place she knows in Nevada that has the $5 denom on this particular schedule of Deuces Wild. And you don't have to worry about, if Gene Scott's playing a game, you don't have to worry about whether the schedule's good or bad.
Right.
All right. This one's called, it's called NSU Deuces.
Okay.
Any idea what NSU stands for?
No.
All right, NSU stands for, this is something that the gamblers came up with, not so ugly.
Ah.
Not so ugly deuces.
I would have never guessed that.
Well, the reason is that when deuces, full pay deuces came out and they paid over 100%, a whole bunch of different variations came out, and they would call them ugly deuces. They go, I don't want to play the ugly deuces. And all of a sudden, this variation came out, and it was pretty good, 99.73% return, all right, just under 100%. And it got termed not so ugly, and they call it NSU for short.
That's hilarious. Okay, so now we all know.
Right.
Every episode we're learning something. Right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so it was a great hit from Jean, and she sent it in, and she said we could use it, and I thought it was great. But it was also an excellent opportunity to talk about the Frugal Video Poker Scouting Guide.
Right.
Something that Jean did with another publishing company. We've talked about this before because this is such a great product. This is one of the greatest gambling products that I did not publish, which I wish I did.
Yeah, you talk about it quite a bit, and I've seen yours. It's all mangled from using it.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I mean we've got a picture of it up on the screen. Take a look at this. Let me make a quick explanation. All right, so this is only one page. This is only the page that has to do with Deuces Wild, and if you look at this page, you can see that they're all different schedules starting from the top, from the Royal Flush down. On the one that we've got highlighted, it's the one that pays starting from the top, 4,200, 25, 16, 10, and so forth. And it shows you when you go down to the column that this schedule returns 99.73%. Now, let's say you're playing somewhere and you look at it and you go, well, that's not the schedule I saw, on the YouTube channel. You can go across anywhere and match up the schedules and it will show you, all right? The one next to it pays only 98.94. As it gets devalued, it goes down 98.91. Beyond that, it tells you what it pays if you've got the schedule on multi-strike. It tells you what it pays on super times pay. It tells you where the break-even points are. So if you're playing quarters, the break-even on this one is 1,147. If you're playing dollars, the break-even is 4,588. We're talking about the Royal Flush here.
Right.
So, I mean, this is just so valuable. And this is one page out of this booklet.
Yeah.
And, you got the same thing for Jacks or Better. You've got it for bonus poker. You've got it for double bonus. And literally, any schedule you come across, you can look it up in this book and you know what you're playing.
Wow.
And make a decision about whether you want to play that game or not.
Well, that's useful for the layman or for someone who is an expert.
Listen, there's no way you can memorize all these things. Mm-hmm. I mean, some people, let's say that you specialize in a particular game like Deuces. Mm-hmm. Now you've got them all memorized and you can tell. But let's say you play all the different games. You want to know which one is the better one to play. Even if you just go to a bar and you see several choices, you just pull out this thing and take a look, and it'll tell you which one has the highest return. And that's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for what we like the most, but we also are looking for the highest return.
Yeah. All right, so we'll put a link in the description box below if you want to purchase the book. And
yeah, to me, it's one of the best tools you can possibly have when you're coming up as a video poker player, and even once you get really good at it.
Yeah. So if you go ahead and buy it, tell us what you think. Tell us if it's useful.
One more thing about Gene Scott. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but her book, The Frugal Gambler, was the most successful single book we've ever done here.
Really?
Yeah, and her book went to, Amazon has a ranking thing where they tell you how good your book is doing compared to other books in the marketplace, and it went all the way up to number 2.
Oh, wow.
It was there for 3 days.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it could number 2 in the world for every book. It could not get over one of the Harry Potters.
Well,
So
maybe there's more Harry Potter fans than gambling.
Well,
fans,
I know there. Yeah, I know there are, and of course there were. But I mean, that's who Gene Scott is. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah. Way to go. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week.